cooking. Now we're cooking. Warriors back-to-back, big wins, quality opponents. Steph Curry out of his slump. Who knows, but it's looking good. Let's talk about it next. Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good? Welcome to Locked On Warriors, and thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day, even the days when we're not available in the morning. You wait. And we appreciate that. We're free and available on all platforms. Another win for the Golden State Warriors tonight at Chase Center. A hell of a homestand for the Dubs as they head into a final game of this homestand. A massively winning homestand against the Brooklyn Nets. But first they had the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we can be honest about this. Looking a little hairy there for a while. Not an impressive first half for the Dubs. Karl-Anthony Towns getting anything he wanted. And we're all writing our scripts up for the show, thinking, hey, maybe the Warriors need to sign a two-way big. Maybe the Warriors need to hit the trade market, find somebody with a little bit more size. Kevon Looney had 4 fouls in the first half. This is untenable. And then it all flipped. Listen, Karl-Anthony Towns got his hell of a game for Cat, 31 points, 12 rebounds. But my man ended minus 16 in the game. We can be real about this. Let's just lay this out on the table right now. Anytime that you go 21 of 36 from beyond the arc, you need to win the basketball game. Anytime you make 11 more three-pointers than your opponent, you need to win the basketball game. Minnesota, they're long. They are talented. Anthony Edwards is spellbinding. That is a quality basketball team. They still have some deficiencies. The Warriors themselves, they have deficiencies too. Now, they're in no way perfect, but the Warriors are further along in this operation than the Timberwolves are. I wouldn't be shocked to see these two teams meet in the playoffs, probably in the first round. But hell of a win. Hell of a win for Golden State. Let's break down everything that went down in this game. Let's start with sort of the small stuff. Again, Kevon Looney, 4 fouls early. Karl-Anthony Towns pushing him around. Enya Bjelica not getting what he needed done in the post. It all worked out in the long run, but maybe that point about maybe the Warriors need a little bit more size can be validated even in an impressive 124-115 win. So something to keep in mind there. Next note, nice game for Jordan Poole. Would have actually liked to seen Jordan Poole a little bit more in this game. Played 24 minutes, 5 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. He was a plus player, 19 points, 5 assists. Loving Jordan Poole's passing right now, by the way. Loving Jordan Poole's passing right now. I think there's a bigger point that revolves around Jordan Poole, revolves around a couple other guys that I want to bring up in just a moment. Andrew Wiggins. And we're going to talk about Andrew Wiggins. My goodness. Congratulations to Andrew Wiggins. All you need is some pop stars, some K-pop stars, and you can go anywhere you want to go in this world. Andrew Wiggins, an outstanding game from the jump. 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. Yes, that was an all-star performance from Andrew Wiggins. Now, is it a starter performance? That's up for debate, but it was certainly an all-star performance from Andrew Wiggins tonight, on a night where the Warriors needed it, on a night where, let's be real, he needed to play like an all-star. A lot of eyes on him. Very small slate in the NBA on a Thursday night. It was a garbage game between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Lakers, and then Warriors Timberwolves. If anyone was watching NBA, congratulations. It was the only show in town. And Andrew Wiggins impressed in the show on a night where a lot of people with plenty of skepticism, valid skepticism, we should note, we're looking in and saying, let's see how good this Andrew Wiggins really is. He looked like an all-star tonight. Congratulations to Andrew Wiggins for getting to that point. We'll talk about it more in the second segment. Here's where it got really fun. Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry doing Splash Brother things in the second, third, and fourth quarter. It is nice to see the Splash Brothers back doing what it is that they do so well. An 11 three-pointer night for those two gentlemen, both of them shooting above 50% from beyond the arc. Klay, 5 of 9. Steph, 6 of 10. Felt like the band was back together just a little bit, just a little bit. Draymond Green's not there. We don't really know what's going on with Draymond Green, if we can be honest about that. He's making deals with Turner on the side. You're wondering, hey, does this guy know something that we don't know? One would hope. Is this more of a short-term thing than a long-term thing, Draymond Green? Nevertheless, Splash Brothers, absolutely awesome. And by the way, Klay Thompson's passing has been just so good over these last couple games. We mentioned it on the Tuesday night breakdown post-game. Another great passing game for Klay Thompson. He's putting the ball on the floor. Now, listen, 4 turnovers. No one likes that. 4 turnovers for Steph as well to 6 assists. No one likes to see those turnovers. They are a natural byproduct. You would like to limit them as much as possible. Alas, that is the thing. Now, Klay was only a +4 in this game. Steph was a +13. It was Wiggins who was really driving the plus-minus train for the Warriors, and Looney, who was getting worked. Nemi Bjelica, who was getting worked, a plus in this game. So the three-point shot really does mitigate all ills. The Warriors in this game absolutely rocked on the glass. Offensive rebounds, you could have convinced me that Minnesota had twice as many as Golden State, and yet the Warriors had just as many as Minnesota. It was kind of a strange game. A lot of stuff in the box score doesn't line up with what our eyes saw, but sometimes there's games like that. And maybe that's just the basic nature of this many three-pointers falling for the Golden State Warriors. And did I mention? No, I believe I failed to. Stephen Curry, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. Yeah, I'm thinking he might be back. It is not necessarily fair to just say it's over, it's over, it's over. We have seen games sort of kind of like this before, and Steph needs to continue to ride this train for a little bit. I'm very interested to see what happens in this game Saturday against Brooklyn. I'm very interested to see what happens Monday in Houston if he plays in that game. First of a back-to-back, San Antonio and Houston. It's Houston. It's San Antonio. Pick your poison on that one. I'm fascinated to see if Steph can keep this going. He never made excuses. He never blamed his hand. He never blamed his legs. He didn't make any excuses. So we can't make excuses for him. And ultimately, if this was just weird, if this was just a weird old slump that no one could quite explain, he was just off, it was just a little incongruent. Well, we're about to see something special then. Now, tonight, outstanding game. 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. He was feeling it in the second half. There's a lot of reasons to feel like, hey, maybe Steph is on the other side of this thing. Again, at the same time, you don't want to read too much into just one game. It's back-to-back, okay, this was his best game in a long time. You just don't want to read too far into it. But he was the straw that stirred the drink for Golden State on Thursday night, no question about it. And the larger point that I alluded to a little bit earlier that I just want to kind of tie in here before we hear some messages from our sponsors. With Draymond Green out, obviously the Warriors are missing a lot. They're missing their best defender. They're missing their offensive playmaker. They're missing a guy who covers up on both sides of the court for any deficiencies this team has. It's tough to win without the ultimate winner, and that being Draymond Green. But the playmaking aspect, I do think, is being filled. That void is being filled. And I'm seeing Klay Thompson step his game up in that regard. It's hard to remember what Klay Thompson was before the injuries and the hiatus. I mean, right? We have YouTube, but it's not a very visceral, immediate. We can't just pull it from short-term memory. We got to go back. And the legend of Klay Thompson sometimes supersedes the actuality of Klay Thompson. And a legend like him deserves that level of recognition, that level of tall taleness. Klay was not putting it on the ground and dishing it out like this before he got injured. Now, I do think he was an underrated playmaker, but that was just because people gave him a 0 rating as a playmaker. It was clearly a little bit above that. This, I think, is on another level. I mentioned Jordan Poole's passing has been fantastic. It has. I'm loving what he is doing in terms of penetrating and dishing. I love what he's doing in terms of exploring the full floor. He is turning into a just really solid player. And this is not something that's developed over the last couple weeks, but it has been vitally important over this stretch without Draymond Green to have that third option ball in his hands and not necessarily looking to score on his own, which is oftentimes what we attribute to a guy like Jordan Poole. Like, oh, he's just a Jordan Clarkson. He's just out there to get buckets. No, I think he's got more depth than that, and I think he's been showing it as of late. I think he showed it before the Draymond Green injury in flashes, but I think now it is necessary for this Warriors team. It is necessary for Jordan Poole, and I think he is following through on that necessity. And then Stephen Curry, one of a kind. I'm loving what he's doing as a playmaker, ball in his hands, and I think it's opening him up a little bit. I thought that against Minnesota, this was his best playmaking game in quite a bit. I think it was opening up a little bit more to shoot the three-point shot. We got to share these messages. We'll be back right after this. Locked On Warriors. I want to talk about the All-Star game. I want to talk about Draymond Green. We got plenty to talk to in the next segment, but first these. All right, back with you, Locked On Warriors. All right, let's talk about Andrew Wiggins making the All-Star game as a starter. What a night to do it, by the way. What a fantastic night to be named an All-Star starter if you're Andrew Wiggins. I didn't see it coming. Apparently a K-pop star named Bam Bam, who is, quote, a Warriors global ambassador, was able to make this thing happen. By the way, thank you for listening to Locked On Warriors. We're free and available on all platforms. And check out our trade deadline show coming up in a couple. Bam Bam. Bam Bam can promote the trade deadline show. He just tweeted out something. Apparently he's some Korean pop star that all the kiddies are into. I don't know. We do know about our Korean media renaissance right now. Some pretty good stuff coming out of there. K-pop, not something that I necessarily subscribe to, so not a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge coming my way. In fact, I would say negative institutional knowledge. Any information you could give me about Bam Bam or his group would be ideal. I'm just seeing a dude with bleached hair sending out some tweets and getting a ton of action. More action than I got when I sort of made a joke about D'Angelo Russell on Twitter earlier on Thursday. It appears as if Bam Bam has put Andrew Wiggins not just into the All-Star game, but made him a starter in the Western Conference. Now, people are going to be very mad about that because Andrew Wiggins was a borderline All-Star, and now he's going to start for the Western Conference in Cleveland. To those people, I say, oh, no. However, will anyone get over the sanctity of the NBA All-Star game being besmirched? Who cares? Who cares? Be happy for Andrew Wiggins. He's had a really nice season. I thought that over these last couple of weeks, for being honest, certainly games, he had not played at an All-Star level. He played at an All-Star level tonight after he had been named a starter. Hey, man, if a K-pop stan wants to retweet something that a Warriors global ambassador, which, by the way, they should be a little bit more careful with these titles considering some of the trouble they've gotten into over the last couple of years with just part owners. Those are people they've taken money from, not people they're giving money to. But not to say that Bam Bam's going to do anything. Please, K-pop stans, I'm pro Bam Bam. Yeah, it is an absolute kind of a joke, but who cares? It's fun. So good for Andrew Wiggins, by the way. He has handled this season like the utmost professional. Let's not forget where we were at the beginning of the season. Him threatening. I don't know how deep it got, but certainly the possibility of him not playing home games this year, whatever his rationale was for that, he eventually avoided such a fate, and he has made the All-Star team for the first time and is a starter. Congratulations to him. He deserves that. Now, we should talk about a guy who should be in the All-Star game who I'm not sure will be in the All-Star game. Hell, I don't know when he's going to play again. Now, Draymond Green apparently signed a deal with Turner Sports today to have him do inside the NBA on certain occasions. And listen, Draymond is really building up his multimedia empire at this juncture, and you should be so lucky he'll take over this Locked On Warriors in a matter of days. The worst kept secret in all of sports media is that Turner has been paying Draymond Green 7 figures for the last couple of years as to keep him away from ESPN. That has been money very well spent for Turner because they have their in, and now I guess they're upping that money to another level. I have said this once. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it one more time tonight. Draymond Green is a basketball genius. I learn something every time I talk to him. I learn something every time I listen to him. He seems to have this nasty habit of always being right, even if it doesn't feel like something that you necessarily want to hear. This is a very good move for him, obviously. He knows what he's doing. I don't see a downside for the Warriors. He's a big boy. He's a professional. He can manage his time. He can certainly manage his takes. I think it's a win for Turner. All around good stuff. I wish that it would have waited until Draymond was back on the floor, because it does lend some questions, and they're unfair questions, but it's all in the back of our mind, and I feel comfortable saying it out loud. Like, hey, man, this injury that you got going on, it's got no time frame. He's going to be reevaluated this weekend. It'd be awesome if it didn't appear as if you were making moves for your post-career while your career seems very much on hold. Now, listen, Draymond has, in my estimation, a ton of great basketball left in him. My hope is that it takes a long time for Turner to get him on the full contract. But at the same time, man, maybe, announce it while you're playing. Sorry, like I just gotta be honest about that. It feels a little uncouth. It feels a little nerve-wracking. And I get it. Draymond opened up a podcast with Colin Cowherd's situation. Listen. Again, he's a big boy. He can do whatever he needs to do. I don't question Draymond Green's commitment to winning with the Golden State Warriors. That is unimpeachable. It just doesn't feel great when we don't know. We know what Draymond's doing in the offseason. We know what Draymond's doing in season. We know what Draymond's doing after his career is over. We don't know when Draymond's going to play again. So it is as nice as these 2 wins, necessary wins for the Warriors have been over Dallas and now over the Minnesota Timberwolves. A very good and exciting and fun. Man, my goodness, it is a blast to watch Cat just absolutely wreck dudes like he's the only high schooler in a 4th grader's game. And Anthony Edwards is frighteningly athletic. We talk a lot about Jonathan Kuminga being an upper 1% athlete. By the way, not a good game for Jonathan Kuminga, if we're being totally honest about it. -14 in the contest. Would have liked to seen a little bit more from him, just if nothing else as part of the whole D'Angelo Russell, Andrew Wiggins rivalry trade. Like, Kuminga's the trump card there. Would have liked to have seen more from that trump card, just to, have some Warriors light years elitism going. But alas, not a great game for him. Great game for Wiggins. You take that. You take that all day, every day. Sad to actually see D'Angelo Russell had to leave this game with an injury. Doesn't seem too serious, but you never really know in the NBA. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a duel, at least a little bit more of a duel. And certainly the Timberwolves are a better team with D'Angelo Russell involved in the fold. As I was saying, the Warriors need Draymond back in not a terrible way, but certainly in a way. They can't go to where they want to go without Draymond Green leading it. And as of right now, there's no time frame. I don't think on Saturday when he is reevaluated that we're going to have any more clarity than what we have really today, which is he's working out. Sounds like that's going pretty well, but they don't really know when he's going to be back on the floor. We talked earlier this week about Bob Myers on the TNT broadcast saying, hey, we're hoping to get him back into the fold before the playoffs start. That doesn't sound so hot. That doesn't sound so good. The AllStar game being front of mind tonight for obvious reasons, that would be a nice time to figure it out. And Anthony Slater of The Athletic made a great point regarding the AllStar game. And we saw this play out, I think last year, when James Wiseman was suspended because he didn't take COVID tests during the All-Star break. He missed a couple of practices. Those practices post All-Star game are absolutely huge. That's outside of training camp. That's like the one time of the year. And I do think the Warriors have had a weird blip in their schedule where they've had this season, just with COVID protocols and stuff like that, health and safety protocols. I think there was one blip in the season where the Warriors were able to get like 2 or 3 practices in a row. I think if you get about 2 or 3 practices in a row post All-Star game, there's 3 days before they go up to Portland, then 2 days afterwards. By the way, Portland might as well just be a scrimmage at this juncture with the way they're playing. That's the only time you get a chance to sort of put in new plays, reestablish rotations. Like, you can think about some stuff and actually put it in. That is not something you get to do very often in the NBA. And if you're looking at the March schedule, my goodness, there's so many back-to-backs. There's a lot of games in a short period of time. There's only one 3-day break in the whole damn month. And by the way, they pay for that 3-day break by doing a lot of 4 and 5s. And oh, it's nasty. I think that's a 7 and 9 I'm looking at there on the schedule. So post All-Star game is huge. If Draymond Green, and right now we have no information one way or another, but I just don't like what I'm hearing talking to people, and I don't like what I'm hearing from Bob Myers in official capacities, and the rest of the Warriors are keeping mum. He better be back by the end of the All-Star game. It's Draymond Green. They'll always figure out a way to make it work. They'll always figure out a way to make it happen, but post All-Star game, the machine gets running again, and it's really hard to slow down to just let somebody else in. So, just a little bit nervous about that. Just a little bit nervous about Draymond Green, this injury. Glad that he's doing the Turner thing, but tricky stuff. I want to tell you guys about BetOnline. There might be less football being played right now, like 2 games this weekend. But the BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this football playoff season, from scores, totals, player performances, props. Hey, where is the next coach going to get fired? Where is that guy going to land? BetOnline, they got you covered. It's the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Ooh, hey now. To sign up today, you get a 50% welcome bonus. That's if you sign up today. You get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON. That's one word, locked on. All caps too, but I'm not sure if that matters. Locked on to get started. And it's not just football, because it can't just be football. We're talking basketball. We're talking hockey. We're talking boxing. We're talking UFC. And oh yeah, by the way, all your favorite Vegas casino games. Now, I don't know what the difference between a Vegas casino game and a regular casino game is, but BetOnline's got the Vegas casino games, according to this copy. It's your #1 online wagering destination. You put something down, they might give you something back if you win. They might give you something. Oh boy, they might give you something back. You can get some good odds on BetOnline. It's the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, that's it. Warriors win nicely. Warriors win big. They knocked down a bunch of threes. Splash Brothers are back. Still a little bit concerned about Draymond. Very happy for Andrew Wiggins. Definitely don't want to run amok of any K-pop fans on this here podcast. Cyrus will be with you tomorrow, later today. We'll find out. I'm Dieter Kurtenbach. We'll talk next week. Until then, stay golden.